Also, when I think of a strong black woman, it's kind of seen like, oh, you're good, you know?
Yeah.
Almost as though you don't need the extra support and extra help, right? Hi, and thank you for tuning in to Dani Changg. So today our topic is actually about strong black women. So today I actually have two ladies that I consider strong black women here today with me, and I'll just allow them both to introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Chanel Grant and I'm an HR technology consultant.
Hey everybody, my name is Denise Aziz at Miss_Aziz, and I'm a social service worker, part-time model, and a Meals on Wheels supervisor for Dixon Home.
Girl, it's a mouthful. You busy.
Busy. Booked, busy, and blessed.
Thank you. Yeah, trust me.
Amen.
So my first question, ladies, is what do you consider a strong black woman?
Well, I'll take this. So for me, I consider a strong black woman a woman that's really just, handling her business, I'm gonna say. So her day to day, going to work, or whether it's dealing with the children or being a partner, a wife, what have you, just taking care of what she needs to take care of. No complaints type of thing, just going on about her day as if it's nothing much.
Yeah. I think a strong black woman is someone who carries the load.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, unfortunately, she has to carry the whole load on her shoulders, and it can be a lot. It can be tiring for some women. It can also have a negative connotation because, to categorize, black women as that, what do the other races of women feel about that, right? So does that hurt us? Does that help us? But I feel like it is definitely something that embodies a lot of characteristics, and unfortunately it can be a bit of a way down to carry that title.
To carry that title. I feel like more is almost expected of you.
Agreed.
Because that's what I kind of think of also when I think of a strong black woman. It's kind of seen like, oh, you're good,
Yeah.
Almost as though you don't need the extra support and extra help, right?
Right.
So that's what I kind of think can be somewhat, limiting to that piece. So continuing off of that, do you guys consider it a compliment when you're called a strong black woman? So do you think like, oh, thank you, like I am, like how do you feel when someone calls you that?
I think generally when that term is used, it's in a good context, like in a positive context. So yes, I do take it as a compliment. Again, I feel like it just speaks to the fact that someone else sees what you're doing and that you're able to, carry on and do it so well.
I feel like it can be a bit of a double-edged sword. It's kind of like when people say to me, oh, you're pretty for a big girl. Right? So am I pretty? Is it only because I'm a big girl? So I think it depends on who it's coming from. So when men say that, oh, you're a strong black woman, you mentioned it, you touched on it before, it can kind of be like, well, then you don't need me. Or I'm afraid of you. I'm intimidated by you, so I don't want to approach you because you're a strong black girl. And you're like, oh, okay. When it comes from black women, more often than not, it can feel like it is a compliment, an upliftment.
Empowerment.
Right. I'll have another queen who is trying to help me straighten my crown. She's there for me. When it comes from another race of men or women, again, it can be like, oh, you're pretty, but for a big girl. It can be a bit of a dig, right? Like a backhanded compliment.
Or sometimes they might not even realize that it is.
Right.
Because I was going to say, like, if I was to answer that same question I asked you guys, I would say it depends on who it comes from.
Right.
When they're calling you a strong black woman, right? Because, for instance, I remember previous company before, right? I won't say which one, because I've worked in a few places. So anyway, he actually called me that. And I thought it was like, okay, right?
Was he black?
No, he was Caucasian. And then also another time with him as well, not long after he said that comment, we were having an event, and he wanted me to carry something, right? So he goes, "Oh, Danielle, can you carry this?" And it was a big plant, guys, okay? And what I did is I looked at him and I said, "Does it look like I'm made for hard labor?" Because
Oh, wow.
I was just like, what? Like, I don't know. I just kind of thought, like, would you ask someone else to have carried that? I don't know, right? So I know that's kind of somewhat taking it perhaps out of context, but I kind of think it all fits in with this whole, like, oh, we're so strong and that, you know, we're able to do these things and more is expected of us. And it's like, oh, you're okay, you can do that. Like, when it's like, no.
You might be.
Yeah.
No. Like, or I can, but, like, I don't really want to. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, the next question for you ladies is, do you believe being considered a strong Black woman is helpful or harmful in the context of like a romantic relationship?
I'm gonna give it to the old married lady here with the ball and chain.
Oh boy. I think sometimes it can be harmful in a romantic relationship. It really just depends on the person that you're dealing with, and whether or not they know how to manage a quote unquote strong Black woman, right? Because it doesn't mean that you don't need help with things. It doesn't mean that you don't need the emotional support. You know, it doesn't mean all of those things. Like, yes, you are able to, you know, get things done,
handle your business,
but you still do need that support. For me personally, I still need a man to be a man, right? So
yeah, exactly.
I mean, as a single woman who is out there in the dating scene,
I'm with you.
gainfully employed, have my own teeth. RRSP, call Dani. Just in case.
Yes.
I feel the same as Chanel in that it can be harmful, but again, in the context of it really depends on who you date. You have to date a man who is confident and strong in his own abilities.
Yeah.
In order for him to then perceive you as a strong Black woman and still want to support you.
Exactly.
He will let me have the autonomy to do what I have to do. He will help me, but he will guide me, but he will also let me handle my business. In the dating scene, if a man perceives me, like let's say on social media, as a strong Black woman, it can push them away. It can make them shy away because then they don't want to approach me because they feel like I can be very intimidating. I've had guys in my DM who say, "Oh, I think you're really beautiful, but you seem like you don't need a man." Sir, leave my DM alone. All of you who come into my DM with that nonsense. Exit stage left. That's nonsensical in my opinion. And so those are the kind of men that you don't want to date. But it really can be a double-edged sword with respect to dating. And then on the flip side, I don't know about you, but in my dating experience, I have dated men outside of my race. And you know, you'll get some white men who will be like, "Oh, I'm dating a strong Black woman because he wants a trophy. He wants to carry me like an Oscar."
Exactly.
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah.
So they want that strong woman, but because they want that to help build them up. And they want those women to literally just be a showpiece, right? Like his Maserati, like his BMW X6. He just wants to take me around to these events where he knows I can hold my own and introduce people as his, you know, like I had a man introduce me, a Caucasian man introduce me as his beautiful Black queen, and I thought,
this ain't gonna work.
right.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. I also kind of thought, like, kind of piggybacking off what you just said, Denise, is that with some of those men too, I feel like almost like some of them might be looking even for, when they go for that strong Black woman, even like somewhat of a mother figure to kind of pull the girl, to kind of pull them up. And I've gone through the same thing where guys have said, "You know what, I'm afraid to date you, I'm afraid to talk to you." And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
But then I kind of think those are not the kind of men I would want anytime.
Absolutely.
To be honest, right? Because that means we're not gonna work. If you're afraid from now, like,
well,
it's already done.
it's already done.
until I get naked.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true, right? There are some women who want, there's some men, who want that because they are looking for a mother replacement. And while it is okay to be somebody's,
source of comfort and support.
Sure. I need to be somebody's partner, not parent.
Yeah.
Same letters, different spelling. Partner.
I like that.
Are there arenas where you feel that being perceived as a strong Black woman may be helpful to you?
So, in the workplace, I think so.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting space because, the same actions or behaviors that a woman of another race may portray, when a Black woman does it, it's not considered to be strong. You're considered to be the angry, aggressive Black woman.
That's the privilege.
Yes.
That some of us are not afforded in life.
Indeed.
Just gonna put that out there.
And it's very hard. It's very hard to navigate that space because you want to be assertive and you want to be strong and dominant in the workplace. But you have to sadly, you have to find a way to do that that's acceptable for Black women. And that's really difficult. So that's been my experience at least. So finding the ways how to portray yourself as a strong Black woman in the workplace, I find it's a bit of an art. you can't do exactly the same thing that a white woman would do. It's just, you just cannot.
You're not allowed to pop off in the workplace.
No.
I tried.
Not at all. Even certain words and phrases and things that you say, someone from another race can say it and it's totally fine and acceptable. And then from a Black woman, you say it and it comes across as, oh, whoa. That was aggressive. Oh, Chanel, are you upset?
Oh my God!
Is everything okay?
Don't wake the beast. Yeah, all of a sudden, you become this like figure to be afraid of.
Right.
And you're like, but Suzanne just said the same thing.
Yeah,
it's not okay for Suzanne to say it. Well, how come I can't say it?
Right. Yeah.
What do you guys think about for males? Is it the same kind of deal as well? Like for males of other races, or?
I mean, I think men have, their own struggles that they deal with, especially in the workplace.
Definitely. That's a whole other topic.
I think it's still very different from what women have to deal with. I think we have to, I personally feel like we have to contend with just a little bit more, especially in a corporate environment. Again, this has been my experience. It's just a space that has in the past been predominantly filled with male figures.
Yeah.
So Black, white, Asian, what have you. Yes, it is a bit harder for the Black man.
Yes.
Totally agree. But I still feel that being a Black woman in a corporate space has a whole set of unique challenges.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and that's what what I wanted to highlight with that question.
Yeah.
And actually, it's funny because I feel like for myself, for some reason, I'm initially viewed as not intimidating. Right? Maybe it's because I'm small. Maybe it's because when I first start, I'm like soft spoken and quiet and stuff. Right?
Because you light skin, girl. You light, right? But then the light eyes, they think she's white anyway. Right off the bat, they don't know she's angry. I'm black. They don't see that. They see black right away. They see you and you from far.
Yes.
You could be potentially perceived as a white woman.
Whoa, girl, that's a little bit of a stretch.
But for that, ask them at work and they'll probably tell you the same thing. Well, I didn't know you were black.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe they think I'm mixed up, but I'm black. But anyway, one girl, coworker actually, in a previous workplace as well, said to me one day, she said, oh, you know what, okay, she was talking about just Black people in general, and she goes, oh, but I'm not afraid of you, Danielle. And I said,
what does that even mean?
And I just said, what? And I was like, that's pretty racist. And then we were cool though, I'll be honest, right? So she kind of laughed, right? But then I was like, but I thought about it to myself, why isn't she afraid of me? It's kind of like a diss. Like, I'm not a strong Black woman. I thought I was. So I was a little bit taken aback, right? But but then also in another different experience, I found that when I was young, I didn't know how to hold my tongue and things like that either. So I often would have issues with that as well, kind of like, oh, you're being aggressive and things like that. So it's interesting how it plays out in different spaces for different people.
For sure. I think maybe in the arena of business, let's say if you own your own business, it can be very helpful if you are, let's say, an influencer. And in this day and age of social media where, we are so happy to have women who are starting businesses, running businesses, entrepreneurs, Instagram influencers. I think it's helpful then, because then you can use that power and use that influence to bring in more followers, bring in more revenue, and build your brand and your business. And that we love. We love following Black businesses, and we love following, I personally love following strong Black women businesses. I have a few friends who have businesses. Shout out the Stylish Apparel, Feline Couture, love. Those are two of my friends who have businesses, and them having that following and them being very strong helps generate revenue and helps feed their families. And so that in that context, I think it can be important because of who they're reaching out to, who's their audience, right? Who's looking up to them. So especially with social media, I think we should all be very mindful. I try to be very mindful because my Instagram page is open to post content that is positive, that's not shaming, that's uplifting, because there are young girls who are going to be looking at that and watching those moves. And I mean, as much as I'd love to think I'm wildly popular, I may not be, but I don't want one young girl to see a piece of content that then she turns around and takes in a negative way, you know what I mean? So I think it's important that we portray those images and exude that kind of confidence for the generation coming behind us, so that they can say, I want to be like her. I want to be the next Dani Changg. I want to be the next Chanel. Because when we were that age, we didn't see a lot of those figures. There weren't those people, right? Everybody looked up to Oprah because she was the only one on TV at that time. And then you had women like, Tracy Ellis Ross coming up, and when she had the show Girlfriends out, that was very big for us because that was the first time we saw Black women on TV, and in the mainstream, you know what I mean? And you would race home at this, pre-PVR, he was racing home to watch Girlfriends. And Netflix, he was ready to go home and watch that and see ourselves portrayed in media, you know what I mean? And in magazines, we were not really represented. We had Tyra Banks, shout out Tyra, in Sports Illustrated back then. Now we're everywhere, right? You have other models, Chanel Iman out there, you have other girls out there who are doing things.
And you have a wider array of Black female figures as well.
Absolutely.
And different skin tones and all of that, which I love.
Rocking their natural hair, rocking their weave, there are, in every venue. So in sports, you're looking at the Serena Williams. In acting, you're looking at the Gabrielle Unions. In politics, you're looking at, in politics, you're looking at other women of color, who are battling, in U.S. politics and in Canadian politics and everywhere like that. And we didn't see that before. So I think it's important for us to continue to build that that brand of being a strong Black woman in those avenues where we're going to have reach for other girls to see us, other women to see us.
But then also just playing like those advocates, because when you are like that in that arena, like going back to the whole relationships piece, just like what we said, right? Again, just seeing you like that already is putting you in this intimidating, you don't need a man, scenario and whatnot. Because also another random story, I had a date, right? And what he actually ended up saying is that, I feel like you don't need a man. He goes, I feel like you feel like you're good by yourself. You'll probably end up, guys, get ready for this. You'll probably end up having a baby just to have one, right?
Sir.
But then be like whatever with the guy. And then I got mad.
Did you block him? Delete him?
But you know what? I probably would have said to him that I don't need a man because I've always felt that way. I'm like, I don't need you. I want you.
There's a difference.
That's very different.
But you know what it was? So I think it was a little salty because, I think I haven't been kind of showing that I really want to be with him. I kind of said let's be more friends, kind of thing.
Right.
So I think that's also a little bit of salt coming out.
Exactly.
But still, to say something like that, I just thought. Look, all of you, and also, and I said, you know what? I don't think so. I disagree. And I said, I disagree. And I'm actually really angry that you'd say something like that because who would want that for their life? You think I go, if I wanted to do that, I could have done that a long time ago.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I go, so you saying that is just foolishness. And then you apologize about it. But anyways,
But the thing is, if you meant it, and that's the kind of thing. Thankfully, Chanel's out of that dating stage.
Thank you, Jesus.
And you've been through it, I'm sure. When you were dating before meeting your husband, and even maybe even when you were dating your husband, going through those kinds of scenarios with him, where it is tough, and it's not even things that we may say. It is just how we present ourselves. And they can see, right? So, you know, in the day and age of social media, men will see, you know, they want to scope your Instagram first to see what's all about, and they will scroll and see if you've got tons of pictures, or if you're out at a lot of events, then right away they can be like, oh, well, maybe you don't need a man because you're always out. Well, last I checked, I couldn't find one under my bed. So where would you like me to find a man? Good, bad, or indifferent?
Right.
I've checked in the closet. He's nothing in the closet.
I'm knocking at your door.
No, the pure guy came to my house the other day. He was cute. Let me unwrap this package, sir. He left. However, you have to go out. You have to be social. And some men don't like that. They don't like if you are overly social, and I think that's strange. But they want to peep out what's going on in your scope out what's in your life before, and then they will make a snap judgment that maybe you don't need me. You're too strong. Like, you're out at stuff and you're at events and you have a channel, so you're very independent. But I can't hug that independence at night, and I can't take that independence to my cousin's wedding. Put your suit on and let's go.
And I think, you know, I'm not sure if it was you or Dani that made the comment earlier about, you know, men just being confident. I think that
Never thought I could be so unselfish, 'cause I gave you everything. Gave you all that I had, now you want someone else.
Spanish woman, nobody ever sees them as being sassy. They are assertive. That is the term that they use when those women are sassy. They are